Welcome to the dark side of love. Let's get started with today's story. I walked into my house that Friday evening with the kind of tired comfort you only feel after a long week. I was expecting the usual maybe leftovers in the fridge, a rerun on TV, or the faint hum of Gloria humming while folding laundry. Instead, the quiet was unnatural. Too quiet. As I headed toward the bedroom, the sound of zippers and hangers rattling reached my ears like a warning bell. I stepped inside and stopped cold. There she was. Gloria stood with both our closets flung wide open. Her side was already half empty, and she was meticulously sorting her clothes into two large suitcases on the bed. Not a glance in my direction, not even a flinch. Just the calculated efficiency of someone following a plan they'd rehearsed. "What's going on?" I asked, even though I already knew. She didn't look up. She didn't pause. She zipped one of the suitcases halfway shut and, with a voice as calm and cold as winter, said, "I'm moving out tonight. Don't try to stop me." No emotion, no hesitation, just a line that sounded like she'd practiced it 100 times in front of the mirror. My brain stumbled. Moving out where? Her answer came clipped and mechanical. "I'll stay with a friend, until I figure things out." She still wouldn't look at me. "Gloria, what is this? What are you talking about?" Her hands froze mid-fold. "Harvey, I need more from life than this." "This," I gestured around the room. "What's wrong with this?" She finally turned to me. Her eyes were dull, like all the light had been turned off months ago. "This house, this routine. I can't live like this anymore." She was performing, every word rehearsed, every pause intentional. She wasn't talking to me, she was narrating to herself. "Then let's talk about it," I said, trying to keep my voice level. "We can go to counseling, work on it." "No." She cut me off before the sentence could breathe. "I don't want counseling, I'm done." She said it with such finality, like a judge delivering a sentence. I stood there for a moment in the silence she had left me. I could feel her waiting for me to collapse, to plead, to cry, to grovel at her feet and beg her to stay. Instead, I took a breath and said, "Okay." That one word broke her rhythm. Her hands paused. She looked up finally and stared at me like she couldn't understand what she was seeing. "Okay, that's all you have to say." I nodded. "You've already made your decision, Gloria. If you've decided I'm not worth fighting for, what exactly do you expect me to fight for?" Her lips tightened, but I saw the hesitation in her eyes. "Fine. Don't say I didn't give you a chance." She yanked the last zipper closed, grabbed both suitcases, and brushed past me as if I were just a ghost haunting the hallway. I stood by the window and watched as her car pulled out of the driveway. The second those taillights disappeared into the night, I picked up my phone and called the one person I knew I needed. "David, it's Harvey. Gloria just left. What do I need to do to protect myself?" Within minutes, my lawyer had given me a cold, clear checklist: cancel her access to all credit cards, change the locks, document everything she left behind. By midnight, I had done all three. Her cards shut down, her name off my accounts, and by morning, a locksmith was on his way. If she thought I was going to sit by the window waiting for her to realize she'd made a mistake, she didn't know me at all. That version of Harvey, the man she thought would beg, died months ago. Because the truth is, this didn't blindside me. Not really. Gloria had been slowly disappearing right in front of me for the last 8 months, like someone dimming a light 1 degree at a time until you're suddenly sitting in darkness. When we first got married, Gloria was full of life. She worked at a fast-paced marketing firm, came home exhausted but laughing, always full of stories about her quirky coworkers, her strict boss, and the chaos of corporate life. She loved our quiet weekends, our late-night kitchen dance parties, even our lazy Sundays spent doing absolutely nothing. She was present, she was real. But people don't just change overnight. It started subtly. She quit her marketing job, said it was too stressful, that she wanted more balance. I supported it. Hell, I encouraged it. She picked up a part-time gig at a boutique downtown. Less pay, but also fewer hours. I thought maybe she'd use the extra time to find herself again, maybe start that online store she always dreamed of. Instead, she disappeared into her phone. TikTok, Instagram, group chats with her single friends. Her days became a curated feed of other people's highlight reels, filtered lifestyles, and toxic fantasies dressed as empowerment. At first, it was harmless. A few comments about how lucky her friends seemed. "Wow, look at Jade's vacation. She's always traveling." Or "Lena just bought a condo all on her own. That's independence." Then those comments started to shift. "Why don't we travel more? I feel like I'm missing out. They're out living while I'm just here. That's what I had become, just here. Her husband, her home, her stability. Something she used to appreciate, now taken for granted. She began going out more happy hours that bled into midnight, then 2 a.m. girls' nights that ended with me waking up to a cold bed and a casual text. Don't wait up. It wasn't long before I started noticing names on her phone I didn't recognize, or worse, ones I did. One night, as she stood in the kitchen pretending not to notice me, her phone lit up on the counter. Victor, my gut twisted. Victor was an old coworker, a guy she used to joke about. He's harmless. She'd say just a friend. But I remembered the way he looked at her. Too long, too familiar. I asked her about it. Tried to stay calm. Victor. Really, I said. Why, is he texting you at 11:30 at night? She rolled her eyes so hard I thought they'd get stuck. We're just catching up. Don't be paranoid. Paranoid? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Because you're having secret late-night chats with an old coworker. She crossed her arms. You're being controlling. This isn't attractive, Harvey. And just like that, the conversation was over. She had flipped the narrative. I wasn't concerned I was controlling. I wasn't observant. I was insecure. Any attempt to bring it up became proof of my emotional weakness. But I wasn't weak. I was watching. I started paying attention to everything, how her laughs used to belong to me, but now echoed in silent texts she wouldn't let me see, how her phone was always face down, how her smile had stopped reaching her eyes when she looked at me. By the time I walked in on her packing those suitcases, I already knew the truth. She had emotionally left long before her physical body followed Victor or whoever else had her. Attention wasn't the beginning of the end. It was just the escape route she had chosen. What she didn't know was that I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to chase after someone who had already drawn a map to leave me. The next morning, Saturday, my phone rang. Gloria. I let it ring twice before answering. What did you do? She snapped before I even said hello. I smiled. Morning to you too. My cards aren't working. I tried to get gas, and the payment was declined. In front of everyone. Harvey, those cards are in my name. I replied calmly. You were just an authorized user. I removed you. You can't do that. You can't just cut me off like that. Actually, I can. You told me you were moving out. You told me not to stop you. I'm respecting your wishes. There was silence on the other end, then her tone softened, ever so slightly. Harvey, I never said I wanted a divorce. I just needed space. Packing your entire closet into 2 suitcases and walking out isn't called space. That's called leaving. This is ridiculous. I still have rights as your wife to what you walked out voluntarily. She hung up. 10 minutes later, another call. This time from Sophie, her best friend and enabler. Harvey, it's Sophie. We need to talk about Gloria, do we? I asked flatly. She's hurt. She feels like you're punishing her. She said she was done. I'm just taking her seriously. Look, she just needs time. You should meet her. Try to talk things through, I cut in. Like you told her to. Like you encouraged her to. See what else is out there. Silence. Sophie, I know you've been whispering in her ear for months. I know you think she's wasting her life being married. Well, now she's free. You got what you wanted. That's not fair. What's not fair is a friend convincing my wife to leave and then acting shocked when I don't chase her. I ended the call, and that's when I realized something vital. Gloria expected chaos. She expected tears. She expected desperation. She thought I'd lose my mind trying to win her back. Instead, I was ice, and it threw her completely off balance. Wednesday evening. 3 loud knocks echoed through my house. I peeked out the window. There she was, Gloria, her hair in a messy bun. Same jacket she'd left in. Makeup faded. Tired eyes. She banged on the door again. Harvey, open up. We need to talk. I didn't move. She pulled out her old key. Tried to unlock the door. Twisted it twice. Nothing. I'd changed the locks 3 days ago. Frustrated, she started pounding louder. Just then, my neighbor John walked over from across the street. Everything okay here? He asked, looking from her to the door, trying to make eye contact with me. John, tell him to open the door, she said frantically. He locked me out of my own house. John blinked. Didn't you tell me Saturday you were finally free? That you were starting fresh? Her face flushed. I was venting. That's not what I meant. That's exactly what you said. It even joked about finding someone more exciting. She looked at me through the window like I was the villain. That was out of context. She muttered. That's when I opened the door. Not for her, for John. Thanks for checking, man. We're good here. Gloria stepped forward. Harvey, please, I made a mistake. Let's talk. There's nothing to talk about. I didn't know it would feel like this. Then maybe, I said coldly, you should have thought about that before you left. John awkwardly backed away. She stood there for another 5 minutes, waiting. I didn't move. Eventually, she turned and walked away. Not a word. By Saturday morning, Gloria had realized banging on the front door wasn't going to work. So she tried a new strategy in my family. That it started with a phone call from my mother, Harvey, she said, her voice calm but careful. I just got off the phone with Gloria. I sighed. What did she want? She said you locked her out, that you cancelled her cards, that you won't even speak to her. All true, I said flatly. She walked out. Mum, that was her choice. No one forced her. There was a pause, and then, to my relief, my mother said, then she has to live with it. I told her I'm not getting in the middle. I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. That was my mother, impeccable in her morals, even when things got messy. But Gloria didn't stop there. An hour later, I got a text from my sister, Elaine. Elaine, Gloria, just called me, crying, said she misses the old Harvey. I told her to stop and handle her own choices. You good? I smiled for the first time in days. She was losing control. The people she expected to rally behind her, to pressure me into welcoming her back, were siding with reality instead. Gloria wasn't used to being told no. She was the kind of person who always had a backup plan, always kept people orbiting her just in case. But this time, there was no orbit, just gravity, and she was falling fast. Later that afternoon, a knock at the door broke the quiet. I opened it to see Gloria standing there with her older brother Martina, man I respected, even liked. But the look on his face said he didn't want to be there. Harvey, he started. Can we talk for a minute? I crossed my arms, leaned against the doorframe. We just want to clear the air, he added. Gloria knows she overreacted. I raised an eyebrow. Overreacted. She didn't throw a plate. She packed her life into 2 bags and told the whole world she was better off without me. That's not overreacting, Martin. That's making a decision. Gloria stepped forward. Victor, wasn't what I thought. I realize now I made a mistake. It was. So you left thinking someone else was going to be better, I said. And when that didn't pan out, you came back. That's not fair, she snapped. No. What's not fair is you walking away from everything we built, chasing some fantasy, then showing up here expecting a reset like it's a video game. Life doesn't work like that. Martin raised his hands gently. I'm just here because she's my sister. I wanted to help her talk things through, and I respect that, I said. But the answer's still no. Gloria's face changed, then eyes hardened, jaw set. It's 3 years gone like nothing. No, Gloria, you ended it the night you left. I'm just honoring the choice you made. Martin nodded, understanding. They turned to leave. She didn't look back. A month passed. No calls, no texts, no visits. Just silence. I assumed she had finally accepted it was over. That her plan, whatever fantasy she'd built up in her head, had crumbled. And maybe, just maybe, she was realizing what she had thrown away. Then, one afternoon, my lawyer David called. Harvey, he said. Gloria's attorney reached out. I leaned back in my chair. What now? They're proposing marriage, counseling instead of divorce. Her parents are pushing for reconciliation or, at the very least, for her to figure out a long-term solution. Apparently, she's been couch surfing and picking up inconsistent work at the boutique. I didn't respond. Her parents don't want her moving back in permanently, David continued. They're telling her it's time to either fix the marriage or become independent. The offer is being pitched as her trying to make amends, but from what I'm hearing, it's about survival, not love. He paused. Your house isn't in question, he added. You bought it before the marriage. Her name's not on the deed. She's got no legal claim to it. I already knew that. When Gloria left, she took what she could carry. Nothing more. Nothing of real value. And that's exactly what she left behind. Value. David finished with, unless you have a compelling reason to consider this counseling offer, I recommend you proceed with the divorce. I didn't hesitate. Proceed. There was nothing left to salvage. No passion, no trust, no apology that could undo the months she spent emotionally elsewhere. Later that week, Gloria sent one final text. Gloria, we could fix this. If you'd just talk to me. I stared at it for a full minute, then I deleted it. No reply. The divorce was finalized 3 months later. No courtroom drama, no grand speeches, just paperwork, a stamp, and an ending. I didn't feel triumphant. I wasn't celebrating, I just felt clarity. When you've spent years with someone, your brain wants to replay the highlight reel. The good mornings, the holidays, the shared jokes, the soft places. But none of that could erase the look in her eyes. The night she left, cold, dismissive, certain you don't accidentally pack 2 suitcases. You don't trip and fall into another man's arms. You don't throw away a marriage, because of a bad week, you do it because you've already decided it's not worth saving. She made that decision, and I finally accepted it. Weeks passed, then I heard from Elena, our mutual friend. She moved back in with her parents. She said, quit the boutique, said she couldn't afford gas, took a full-time job at a call center. I said nothing. What was there to say? A few days later, I received one final message. Gloria, I hope one day you understand I didn't mean to hurt you. I didn't reply, because it didn't matter what she meant. What mattered was what she chose. The house felt different now. Still, peaceful. Clean in a way that wasn't just about dust or clutter. No more wondering if I'd come home to find her packing. No more waiting for another late-night excuse. No more walking on emotional eggshells. A month later, I met Rachel. She was a 32 nurse, owned her condo, paid her own bills, smart, direct, grounded. We had coffee, then dinner. When the conversation turned to exes, I told her the basics about Gloria. She shook her head and said, sounds like she wanted to keep you as a backup plan, while she explored other options. I looked at her, nodded. That's exactly what it was. Final thoughts. I remember that night clearly. Gloria standing over her open suitcases, delivering her lines like a bad actor in a play she'd already written. She thought she'd catch me off guard. Thought I'd crumble, beg, plead. What she didn't realize was, I'd already spent months holding on by myself, fighting for two, carrying the weight of a marriage she had already emotionally abandoned. So when she walked out, it wasn't a tragedy, it was a release, a necessary one. Here's what I learned. When someone says they're leaving, believe them. Don't chase, don't argue, don't offer discounts on your dignity, because the people who truly love you won't walk away when things get hard. They'll stay, they'll fight, they'll grow. But the ones who leave, let them go, because once someone shows you that loyalty is conditional, you don't want them back. Thank you for watching. Goodbye to the dark side of love.